Coming to you live from the MediaPlex in downtown Windsor, this is a presentation of St. Clair College Journalism.
Good evening, I'm Zachary Balog, and you're watching MediaPlex News Now. St. Clair College is holding their annual Alumni Night on Friday, April 1st, and you don't want to miss this fun-filled night. Tickets for the event are on sale now at windsorexpress.ca. And if you're a St. Clair student, make sure to use the promo code SAINTS to purchase sideline bowl seats for only $12. With gas prices being all over the place, Isabella Spadafora has everything you need to know about the highest and lowest prices.
It's no surprise to Ontarians that gas prices are soaring high. The spike continues with the price of gas being 171.2 cents per litre in Ontario today. According to Windsorite.ca, the lowest price for gas in Windsor is 167.9 cents per litre at Costco. In contrast, the highest price as of today is 173.4 cents per litre at Canadian Tire on Tecumseh Road East. However, there's hope. Gas analyst and president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, Dan McTeague, tweeted on Monday that gas prices should drop by 7 cents per litre on Wednesday this week. From MediaPlex News, I'm Isabella Spadafora.
Now let's join Constable Sarah Werstein with this week's Crime Stoppers Update.
Lakeshore OPP is currently investigating the theft of 3 hot tubs from a business on Patillo Road in the municipality of Lakeshore. On March 21st at approximately 1:30 a.m., officers on general patrol interrupted 2 males who were in the process of loading a hot tub onto a trailer. The males fled through an adjacent field. One suspect was wearing distinctive red shoes. 3 Dominion hot tubs, along with a utility trailer, were stolen from the property over the course of 2 days. The value of the theft is between $60,000 and $80,000. Head to our Facebook and Twitter, where photos of the suspect and similar type trailer are available to be viewed. Police are asking anyone who has information regarding this theft to contact the OPP Major Crime Unit or Crime Stoppers anonymously at 519-258-TIPS or leave a tip online at catchcrooks.com. I'm Police Coordinator Sarah Werstein.
Let's head outside where Sarah Weaver is standing by with our look at the weather. Sarah?
Well, I know the calendar says it's spring, but it feels a lot like winter. It's currently +1 going down to -1. I'll be back later in the show with the 3-day forecast. Back to you, Zach.
Pierre Polivier recently hosted a meet and greet in Windsor, Essex, and Ravishan Wejemane and Kayla Tarnowski got the chance to attend and report on this event.
Pierre promises freedom. Conservative Prime Ministerial hopeful Pierre Poilievre is hoping to stall Canada's rising inflation. Poilievre announced his candidacy for the leadership of the Conservative Party early February. Speaking at a meet and greet at Windsor, Essex, Poilievre said he will bridge Canada's budget deficit, stall money printing, and produce more Canadian goods.
Why did you choose to come to Windsor?
Well, I think the working class people in this country have been demolished over the last 2 years by 30-year highs in inflation, housing prices that have doubled since Trudeau took office, and the wages of the working class are worth a fraction of what they were only a few years ago.
Attendees at the event said Poilievre's comments about freedom and minimizing government also resonated with them.
After all these mandates and everything they've done in Ottawa to our citizens, it's wrong.
The race for the top spot began when the Conservative Party ousted Erin O'Toole from leadership on February 2nd. Poilievre is one of the 10 Conservatives who are running for the top spot in the election scheduled for September 10th this year. Until then, Portage-Lisgar MP Candice Bergen will be acting as interim leader. For MediaPlex News, this is Ravishan Vijayamana and Kayla Tarnowski.
Get your pancakes and waffles ready because maple syrup is back in Windsor. Alexa Frazier reports.
Maple Syrup Fest is back at John R. Park Homestead. After a 2-year hiatus for the annual Maple Syrup Fest, it has returned but in a slightly different way. Chris Ives, the Curator Education Coordinator, says they wanted to follow safety protocols.
Yeah, so technically it's not full Maple Fest. This year we've done a Maple Days because we're reopening, right? So Maple Fest was the last event we had when COVID struck and we had to shut down.
Although Maple Syrup Fest is different this year, the staff at John R. Park is still in their 1800s attire and the blacksmith is still working. For MediaPlex News, I'm Alexa Fraser.
If you're looking for a history lesson on art in Windsor, then look no further. Jasper Cha has the story.
With Heritage Week over, some people have taken some opportunities to discover the past of their own and the city of Windsor's past as well. Spencer Marcom, an art conservator with the Art Gallery of Windsor, said that conservation is very accessible to learn and perform as well.
I was lucky enough. It's very accessible in a sense that if you don't know anything about conservation, you can really dive in and learn something. And that was kind of strategic because as there's a few conservators in this room, I'm sure you know, we don't want to kind of tell people how to do conservation because then that's where mistakes happen because there's some very long training protocols that we go through to learn how to do these sort of things. So it's very accessible and it's very informative.
Montcalm will be doing a pop-up conservation lab in the Art Gallery of Windsor until the end of April on Saturdays.
To learn more about the Heritage Week of Windsor Essex or the history of Windsor, you can come visit the Art Gallery of Windsor right here in Windsor, Ontario. For MediaPlex News, I'm Jasper Cha.
How is your gardening shaping up? Ken Pastashin gives us an up-close early spring sneak peek.
Here is the Ford City Community Garden, the University of Windsor Community Garden, and the Erie Street Butterfly Garden. These and other Windsor Essex community gardens do receive donations from Greener Farms in Kingsville in the form of customers' unclaimed compost. They do not believe in wasting food. And for a fee, Greener Farms will pick up your food scraps, break them down, and compost it for you to use in your garden. Dane and Ali of Greener Farms gave a gardening for and with your soil workshop at the Cheese Bar Cheese Shop in Lakeshore. I was there, and here I am in my own backyard next to the Victory Garden. We can expect frost from mid-October to late April. Here's some tips from Dane and Ali on what seeds to plant and when to plant them. Dane says cherry tomatoes are easy to care for, but need lots of water and should be planted in late spring because they don't like the frost.
If you have your garden in a spot of your backyard that gets a ton of sunlight, then you want to make sure you're planting things like tomatoes and peppers and squash that can handle a lot of sunlight.
Ali says basil should be planted next to the tomatoes because it repels insects. Basil is also sensitive to cold and needs to be watered often. Ali also says snap peas have lots of nitrogen and is great to plant in soil with lots of problems. You can plant peas early because they can tolerate the frost.
If you have a low light area, you can do peas or lettuce or things of that nature, things that will tolerate lower lights in areas.
Kale can also tolerate frost, but Dane says kale is prone to cabbage moths and suggests covering them with cloth while they're still young. And finally, Ali says nasturtium is an edible flower plant that tastes good in salads. Like basil, it can ward off pests and should also be planted during warmer weather. With MediaPlex News Now, I'm Ken Pastushin.
Is working in person a thing of the past? Ravishan Wajemane reports.
It's the end of an era. By April 27th, all COVID measures will come to an end. In fact, starting this week, Ontarians don't even have to wear a mask in public spaces except public transit. With Ontario returning to normalcy after nearly 2 years, workers are anticipating a return to in-person work. Chatura Kankanamge is a database systems developer for Amazon. Since COVID-19 protocols began, he has been working remotely from his bedroom in Toronto. He says a return to in-person work will give him much-needed separation between his work and social life.
Previously, the sort of commute allowed me to bookend my days. I found that sort of disappeared when I started working from home. I would roll out of bed, get started with work on my laptop, do the regular working day, but I would not be as productive during the daytime, which meant that the work would spill over into the nighttime.
According to Statistics Canada, about 90% of remote workers say they were as productive as they were in person. However, the same study found that more than 35% of those people also worked longer hours to achieve the same work. For MediaPlex News, I'm Ravishan Vijayman.
TikTok time is relative for one Windsorite. 15 seconds is all it took to be a star. Caleb Coulter has the story.
A Windsor student has gone viral on TikTok, amassing millions of views.
For views on the video, it has 16.2 million views with 1.9 million likes, which is crazy to me.
Leah Larkin is a 19-year-old St. Clair College student. Only in December, she began noticing that thousands of people had begun to see her videos. Today, her most viral video has millions of views, and that's not the only video she made that's getting noticed.
So my first reaction was like, what is going on? The views kept going up, the likes kept going up, my followers kept going up.
Larkin's younger brother featured in some of her videos, including the viral one. She said her brother has been getting more attention at school, but he does enjoy it. Larkin features dances, vlogs, and workout clips on her TikTok channel. From MediaPlex News, I'm Caleb Coulter.
Are you glued to your device? Well, give yourself a break. Colin Bannon explains in this Health Minute.
In an age of technology, our phone can be everything that we enjoy, but sometimes putting your phone down and picking up a book can be great for you. Instead of staring at a screen all day, a book can show you how creativity and a great story can enhance in your daily lives. Many authors have ideas and stories you cannot find on your phone or search for on the internet. Whether it's about cooking your new favorite meal or learning how to build a home garden, they all can be found in a book. Buying a book also helps authors make an income. When you read a book, you also give your eyes a rest from staring at a screen all day. It's a good way to relax and discover what may be your new favorite hobby. I'm Colin Bannon, and this is your Health Minute.
Most Windsor sports teams have a mascot, and as Ken Pastashin reports, they were out in force for a good cause.
Here is Bomber, one of the Windsor Spitfires mascots, with a large pail of Spitfires mixed popcorn. His bulldog Spike was with him outside the storefront of the What's Poppin' popcorn factory, as was Ace, his Spitfires fighter pilot pal. All of them are attracting the attention of motorists and pedestrians passing by. This is one example where the Windsor Spitfires partner with a local business to bring a brand awareness to their products. At every event, there is a community activation team of volunteers promoting the Spitfires by interacting with the fans.
We are raising money for a great cause in the community. They help support local teams, local situations where kids need assistance in playing hockey and doing community service, that kind of thing.
A portion of the proceeds from the sale of Spitfires mix is donated to the Windsor Spitfires Foundation. The next day, What's Poppin' presented a generous check for $2,000 on the ice at the WFCU Center. The Spitz players are not able to attend autograph signings due to league COVID-19 protocols. It didn't seem to bother the kids. They were just as happy getting Bombers, Spikes, and Aces autographs instead. A lot of customers are here for the popcorn alone. What's Poppin' has created 34 different flavors, everything from kettle corn to cookies and cream. And behind the popcorn factory is the What's Shakin' milkshake and ice cream shop.
I'm here with Spike, one of the mascots of the Windsor Spitfires. Spike, do you think the Windsor Spitfires will win the M's Division Championship? Oh. And how about the Robertson Cup and the Ontario Hockey League Championship? Woo. And do you think they'll go all the way to the Memorial Cup? Woo, woo. Thank you. For the MediaPlex News Now, I'm Ken Pastushin.
Spring is around the corner, but we still need to be conscious of the cold when it comes to our pets. Isabella Spatafora explains.
Taking your pets on daily walks are a great way for both of you to get some exercise, but once the snow hits the ground, we must be cautious. Tara Preston, an animal protections officer from the Windsor Humane Society, said, "If you're cold, they're cold."
Typically, I always suggest thinking of it like yourself. If you're cold, they're going to be cold. The only kind of exception to that, huskies really like it being cold. So a lot of the times they actually prefer to be outside, and it can be difficult to get them to come in. But yeah, typically if it's cold for you, then you don't want your animals to stay outside for too long.
Some animals love the snow and cold weather. Carla Vlad's dog, Trixie, loves being outside at this time of year.
No, she loves the snow. She loves to play around. She could be freezing her little booty off, and she still wants to be outside.
Preston said when bringing your animal outside, putting a sweater or booties on is an excellent way to prevent the cold, as well as using a warm cloth to help frozen paws. However, in extreme events, you should start to warm them up gradually, starting from the ears, tails, and paws.
Keep you and your dog warm this winter. For MediaPlex News, I'm Isabella Spadafora.
Let's head back outside to Sarah, where she is standing by with the 3-day forecast. Is it good news, Sarah?
Thanks, Zach. Did you know that on this day in 1999, ice hockey player Wayne Gretzky scored his final career goal? Let's go from Wayne to the weather and look at the 3-day forecast. On Wednesday, we can expect periods of rain with a high of 17. On Thursday, there will be more rain with a high of 13. And Friday will be rain or snow with a high of 5. Let's see. Friday is April Fool's Day, and they're calling for snow. We'll have to see. Back to you, Zach.
Don't joke about that, Sarah. Automation is the way of the future, and it's coming here to Windsor. Ravishan Wajemane reports.
City of Windsor, meet the robots. The Government of Ontario is funding Windsor's switch to automation through its Regional Development Program. The 3 local companies to secure the latest round of funding were Medicap Laboratories, Canadian Premier Supplements, and Cedar Valley Selections. Amounting to about $2 million, the investment is projected to create more than 70 jobs. Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade Vic Fideli says the funds will help these companies transition from manual production to automation. These investments hope to make Ontario's businesses more competitive in the global market and boost regional economic recovery. Launched in November 2019, the Regional Development Program is helping small and medium-sized businesses in eastern and southwestern Ontario to create more jobs. The program is set to invest more than $100 million over the course of 4 years. In November last year, the province also invested more than $250,000 in Windsor's cnc.tech.com to improve the company's robot systems. For MediaPlex News, I'm Ravishan Vijayaman.
Disney is for everyone, and as Mariana Yanekovic reports, even for those who are visually impaired.
Some say childhood is the best time in our lives. No worries, no problems, no fears. Just us and our friends, both real and imaginary, rolling around in a world of fantasy, flying high in the sky, diving deep into the ocean, climbing mountains in our minds. But for some people, their imagination is their reality.
Cartoons were really inaccessible to me as a kid because they were so visual. I couldn't identify with them at all because there was an awful lot happening in the cartoons that was not expressed through dialogue.
Rebecca Blevoigt was born blind. She was 5 when she first realized that not being able to see wasn't something everyone dealt with.
We had just had a visit from the principal of the School for the Blind that I would be attending. And I think it was that visit that made me start to think, I wonder, and I started to realize that I couldn't see out of my eyes.
Rebecca is one of the owners of Tactile Vision Graphics in Windsor, a business that prints materials in Braille. She and her husband Emmanuel have signed a 3-year licensing agreement with Disney to produce at least 15 creative coloring books with Disney characters. Disney books in Braille have never been produced in Disney's 90-year history. Emmanuel came up with the idea.
We had just come back to Canada and he started saying, you know, our coloring books would be great for if we had Disney characters. And my immediate reaction was, well, oh gosh, you know, imagine the red tape you have to go through to get that.
Blind and visually impaired will finally be able to see Disney classics like Mickey Mouse, Bambi, 101 Dalmatian, Goofy, and many more. The process of producing books consists of taking the Disney art and adapting it in a tactile format that will make sense to blind people reading it. Rebecca believes books with Disney characters will open a window to a completely new world.
If I knew that there were Braille coloring books, if the first Braille coloring books that I ever got were Disney characters, that would be very cool. I think as a kid I would have found that extremely neat, you know, to be able to bring that and show the other children and be able to color.
According to the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, there are 500,000 Canadians with significant visual impairment. Almost 200,000 of them reside in Ontario.
The number of requests we've gotten to let them know when the books are available from adults are even more than the number of kids. So it's because we didn't grow up with this stuff either. So yeah, it's a huge lot of people that are going to be impacted by this.
Emmanuel designs graphics in Braille for the purpose of Braille readers. One of his favorite pieces of art that he created is the periodic table of elements. Although making coloring books with Disney characters fulfills him and makes him happy, Emmanuel says it's a long process since it needs to be done very precisely.
It's slow work, slow process. It's too slow for me, but I want everything last week, so I want everything yesterday, so I just have to be patient.
Emmanuel remembers the first time he revealed one of their coloring books to a child. It was with a little girl who was blind.
The little girl was right in front of me and she was just like this. She had never touched a coloring book with her fingers. What do you think it is? It's a house. Yeah, you're right, that's a house. How do you know it's a house? With windows. Yeah, you're right. It was the first time she was actually touching her own idea of a house. Her mom was just like crying in front of me.
Seeing how blue the sky looks on a bright sunny day, the simplicity of nature's beauty, or the vibrant color of a freshly bloomed flower, so many of us take sight for granted. In their modest office, their second home, Rebecca and Emmanuel don't work alone. They have their biggest supporter always by their side, Carrie, Rebecca's seeing-eye dog and loving companion. Carrie doesn't know what preconception is, but Rebecca's father says it's something Rebecca faced with since she was a child.
The biggest challenge in raising Rebecca, I think it was more related to how other people dealt with her. Everybody wanted to help her, and because of her independence, she wanted to do it herself. So it was very difficult in some ways to tell people, let her do it.
I mean, there are things that are much easier to do when you can see. Just about everything's easier to do when you can see. But I think a larger obstacle than blindness is probably the societal perceptions of what blind people are capable of. That continues to be a battle that I have to fight with just about everyone I meet. There's all sorts of societal impressions that are made before I even say a word.
It's really funny because when Rebecca was a young girl, and even into her teenage years, I thought that this girl's gonna make her mark because she was so inventive, and of course she's met Emmanuel, who is a very creative young man, and between the two of them, they've come up with this phenomenal idea, and they'll do well.
Rebecca decided to embrace her destiny from the moment she became aware of it. Today, she is brave, confident, happy, and determined to bring Disney characters in lives of blind and visually impaired, especially the young ones, and take them on a journey in which they have never been before.
The most important thing, after everything and before everything, is to be true to yourself. Whatever society throws at you, whatever other expectations people have of you, listen to your inner voice and do what's in your heart.
Did You Know is a segment where I highlight some of the more historical places in Windsor and Essex County. Here's the latest. It's a 5.17 kilometer trail that can be used by various types of activities, such as cycling, walking, and lounging. But what do we know about one of Windsor's most scenic landmarks? I'll tell you in this edition of Did You Know? Believe it or not, the riverfront you see today did not exist in Windsor's history. It was dominated by train tracks, and the Canadian Pacific Railway Terminal was located by Cairn Avenue in 1890. The station featured a stylish stone turret and ramp. According to Windsor historian Elaine Weeks, her father, Bert Weeks, who was mayor at the time, was a firm believer in green space and believed that this area had significant potential. It wasn't until the 1970s that major changes occurred in this area, and that's when people started to come down, and the rest is history. In 2021, the City of Windsor approved an $8.4 million streetcar project called the Celestial Beacon, which would house Windsor's historic streetcar. It is to be built within the Windsor Sculpture Park at the foot of Askin Avenue. The more you know. For MediaPlex News, I'm Zachary Balog. Public relations is part of the family of programs offered here at the MediaPlex. Here is a look at the exciting things they do.
So public relations is like being a bridge between an organization and their public. As this public relations expert, you are a liaison, so you have to connect the brand or the business or the company with their public in such a way that the public responds to them in a positive manner. So the advantages of taking public relations at St. Clair College is that we have access to the MediaPlex. Now the MediaPlex offers us a converged education. It's one of 3 in the world and the only one in Canada. What that means is that we're taught in film, broadcast, radio, there's graphic design, we do event planning, we write all sorts of press releases, we work in tandem with the journalism club. So at the end of everything, you can communicate any professional message across any medium. So what do you think about public relations?
Well, you just learned about our public relations program. What about journalism and media convergence programs? Let's take a look at a behind-the-scenes look at what they do.
This goes to Twitter.
This just in from Queen's Park.
That's the header.
Thank you for joining us. We are proud to announce
3, 2, 1, cue.
Standing by with the details of today's announcement is MediaPlex news reporter Jessica Tatton.
Ready, live, and take.
Thanks, Albert. Here are the details from today's announcement.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Zachary Balog, and you've been watching MediaPlex News Now.
MediaPlex News Now is a production of the St. Clair College Journalism Program.